of the presentations of the war, victory or defeat. Now we are getting in this third presentation into specific issues. It could be part of the diabolic wars or part of our culture, unfortunately now. And the title is, are you the hunter or the hunted? Sometimes we regard ourselves that we are hunting for something by doing one of the actions which I'm going to describe to you. And let's start by chatting. Chatting, bullying, sexting, something happening quite normal these days. I mean, nobody is going to raise an eyebrow if he will hear these terms. He will say, oh, everybody is doing it. But if you are chatting, maybe you are chatting for fun, to kill the time, or maybe to discuss some doctrine and theology, or maybe to convince an atheist, or whatever else you want. But sometimes, I will give you some small stories about why I'm doing that. Any of what I'm going to mention today, I want you to know that you are really supervised, and whatever you are sending, text messages, or emails, or chatting, is under supervision from Scotland Yard. Believe it or not. Why they are doing that, or the FBI in the United States? Why they are doing that? Because there are so many terrorists. And their way of communication is exactly as you are doing. Nobody in your life. And the country must be protected. And all the countries are doing that. I think in the Emirates, they did not want to use the BlackBerry unless they have a control. Egypt are doing that, Canada, United States, Australia, England, Scotland, all the countries. A young man, his age is 11 or 12. His friends convinced him to take for himself a photo by the camera in the computer and send it to the net. Totally naked. After 2 or 3 months, 5 of those door-like people, their height over 2 meters, huge, 5 or 6 came to knock on the door of that house. And he said to the lady, "Is that your son?" He showed the face picture. And yes, where he is inside. When he came, he told him, about 2 months ago, you sent a picture of yourself naked to so-and-so by the email. And fortunately enough, we were able to stop it before it circulates in the net. How did they know? How did they get it? And he showed the mom the picture. And the boy admitted that his friends put pressure on him to do that and send his picture to some of those. Chatting, just mere chatting. In one family, the man of the family is working in the computer field, and all his life is working on programs, whether from home or from his work, and he travels a lot, different countries according to his contract. Also, one day, 7 a.m. in the morning, before he goes to work or anyone goes to school, people were knocking on the door. 5 or 6 of those huge giant people. They came and told him, "Are you such and such?" "Yes." "Okay, we have an order to search the house for all the computers." They confiscated all the computers in the house. And he told him, "You were chatting where you were chatting for, I think, a few months with a minor, pretending that minor that she's an adult." And she put pressure on that man by any means to meet with him, and he refused. And he was thinking that she's an adult. In the middle of one of the chatting, she wrote something which might indicate that she is 14 or 15, but it passed. Because all his hard questions to him were so deep, and the man was refusing to answer. And that young one, she took him into some contents of the chatting which is not right. That minor was an undercover. You know what was the verdict? 35 years in prison. He got all the lawyers. He told them either to leave the country and in Google you will be labeled a sex offender, which will destroy his career completely. And his lawyer, they gave him all the contents of of the chatting recorded. His lawyers tried. The judge said, I know that you're a good man. You don't do anything wrong before, but it happened. I'm just telling you, just to be careful. Chatting, emailing, texting, whatever is now, these are eye and ear listening and recording. I'm not talking about the eyes of God, which of course are there. And God is supervising everything of what we are doing. In the United States, in every state now, they, after 2000 or something, they started to set certain rules and regulation, certain law for bullying. Why? Because they discovered it is a reason for so many cases of depression in high school and suicide. And there's no one, if you think of, since you were very young till you end the college, nobody was exempt from being bullied. You get as a freshman, they pick on you, the seniors. It's normal. But this normal now has changed. Why? Because if anyone in high school commits suicide, it's a domino effect. So to prevent that, certain rules now and new regulation, FBI in the United States, they go to churches and discuss that with high schoolers, children, adults, parents, tell them the new regulations. And if you are exposed to such bullying, you have to report it as soon as it happened to the counselor in the school, social worker, or somebody who is responsible. And if the social worker will not take action, you have to go and report it to the police station. It's something getting serious. And there is cyberbullying on the net. You could use any photograph and join it and do whatever, and it could be everywhere. Which means Satan is putting his fingers everywhere, including useful tools as the internet. You are studying. You will not stop, but be careful. Study, but don't go into certain areas and don't do certain actions which will make you liable, legally liable. Most of the kids, you know, I heard a case also. A girl, 3.5 years old, is than 4. What class in the school used to be 4 years old? What is that, preschooler? She has bullied all the members of her classmate. Of course, that girl is angry. It's an anger problem. And her house, her family has a problem. But all the parents of the kids in that class, they went and complained that she is picking with everybody, bullying everybody, and she's a girl. And when the school year ended, because there were too much complaints, they were thinking, of course, to dismiss her from the school. Why? Because parents are going to sue the school. So bullying starting at age 4 years old and going up to law schools and medical schools and pharmacy schools. It could happen to anybody. For you, I hope you are not bullying anybody, but if you have been bullied, you have to learn what we call assertiveness. You have to learn it. And on the net, there are courses for free. It's called assertiveness training. Because in assertiveness, you will learn how to use your eye contact with anyone who wants to bully you. Just a certain stern, firm look. He will know that you mean what you are looking, without saying any word. Of course, at old times, we were teaching our kids, if anybody would fight with you in the school, try to escape, don't fight with anybody, don't start a fight, but how to defend yourself. If something will happen to you, now we are teaching nothing wrong to learn self-defense. And in high schools in the United States, they are teaching self-defense training for everybody if you want. No need to go and take black belt in taekwondo to be able to do that. A family of 4, 2 parents, and we have a daughter and a son. The 2 were in high school. The 4 of them went, I think they took training in judo, and all of them got black belts. In the school bus, always the girl, they pick on her. Every time they stretch their legs, this across the hand to stumble. Then when she started out, 2 boys came after her, going the same station, same stop, and started to pick on her. What she did, she did once. She took the hand of one of them and she tried. He found himself flipping and down. Never after that anybody tried with her. She was a self-defense. So you could learn self-defense, but don't start a fight. And if a group is bullying you, saying something, trying to do something for you in the school, I told you, in the school, you have to report it. If someone will text you, so-called sexting, any picture, which is not holy picture, if you keep it, it's a crime now. If you send it to any of your friends, it's a crime. It is possession and distribution of child pornography. And the police also after that. What you are doing in the class, always the teacher is doing whatever, and you are texting. Even in Sunday school, sometimes you are doing that. In the church, you are doing that. And if any of these, the contents of these text messages is not right, be sure somebody is seeing it. The police. As I told you, I'm not saying God. Because of course God is seeing everything. And if you are ignoring His eyes, no. The eye is waiting to take you handcuffed to the jail or the juvenile hall if you insist to continue doing that. And you have to report your parents. Because also parents will be asked, did he tell you that? And if they will know and did not take an action, they are responsible. As if the government now is caring more about your psychological health more than your parents and yourself. Did you feel ever frustrated from somebody bullying you? Just able to say yes or no. If you will not feel frustrated, then you are not normal. Because of course you have to feel frustrated. Just recently, a 15 years old in high school in Canada, and close to him the other desk with other seats, one of his friends in the same area started to call him names and look at him in a certain way, which means I'm telling you that name now, I'm calling you that name. And the boy is told, and his body is good, but we taught him in the church, never use your body in fighting. He started to get irritated because he was calling him names as if he's gay. His dad went to the social worker, the council, and he told her that young man is bullying my son and telling my son not to lay a hand on him. They took that other young man who was bullying and told him, if you repeat it again, you'll be out of the school. Why? They are afraid of the lawsuits of parents. So be careful at least in what you're doing. As if God is seeing you. And you could put an icon at the corner of your computer or laptop which appears icon of Jesus, the crucifix or something, which will remind you that He is caring about what you are doing on the computer. And still talking about chatting, bullying, and texting or sexting. Sexting is texting sexually immoral material. And every now and then, of course, you hear about on cyberbullying about girls who took their head and fixed it on a naked body and distributed it everywhere, and everybody's seeing that. Sometimes actors in the country, everywhere. This is the evil. Be careful with the evil powers. I will tell you a story also before I will reach that issue of discussion. I think 7 years old boy, his parents are serving in one of the Coptic churches in Canada. And what is the main issue we're talking about in our Sunday schools and in the churches? Jesus loves you, and we love Jesus Christ, we love one another. In the school one day, another Canadian boy, not Coptic Orthodox, told him, I love you. So innocent, under 7 years old. So what should be the answer? A 7 to 7 years. What should be the answer? What we are training our kids at home to say. We say, I love you. We say what? I love you too. Correct? He said it. And no more. Every day, the boy come and ask that Coptic Orthodox boy, I love you. And then you tell him, I love you too. And then one day, that Canadian boy, who's not Coptic, came and told him, I love you. Then I said, I love you too. Then I told him, I want to kiss you. Then the boy started to feel that something was wrong. But he told them, nothing wrong, we love one another. And we was 7 years old. And the boy came closer and asked him, kiss me. To get rid of him, the Coptic person, get rid of his boy, he kissed him in a hurry and he left. The teacher of that class found out, as if the Coptic Orthodox, 7 years old, kissed the other one against his own will. Mouth-to-mouth kiss. They called the parents. And the parents called and tell me what to do. Now 7 years old. Maybe they're imitating. Or that one was not Coptic, was imitating his brother or whatever I have seen in computer. So what to teach our kids? In school, if somebody will tell you, I love you, don't answer them. What to tell them? Where is the limit? It's so hard. Do I teach my children don't love except Coptic Orthodox? There are so many of them also deformed in the churches. Not all the kids in our church are angels. Actually, by the way, you have Coptic gay that come now on the website. Do you know that? Why you are still why? What? Who are part of the society. You are keeping yourself, your head in the sand. Unfortunately, we are treating all these cases. I'm trying not to alarm you. I'm trying to tell you what's going around you to be careful. To be careful. As a blind person, I have to hold the elbow of somebody. And if I do it in the street, somebody will come and run after me and the other person to look to us, especially if that person is a man. If she's a lady, nobody will care. Because their mind now is geared towards the sin. Something evil. I have to know that. One time, we were going, I think in Seattle area, and we stopped At certain rest area, I went to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom, and the man took me, asked the cashier, where is the bathroom? He told me, the bathroom. And the cashier, he has the gut to say, only one by one. So, the man who was guiding me came to tell him, sorry, he is blind. He said, oh, I'm sorry. But this is what is in their mind now. It's all evil. It was normal. If somebody would say now, I'm seeing something, website which is not that holy, somebody would say, and who doesn't? And everybody's seeing. Or maybe in the spam trash mail, you'll be exposed to some of them. Somebody came to me. She is a Caribbean woman from the Caribbean, Roland Islands. I don't want to mention the name of the island. She's married. She came, this was maybe 10 years ago. She came with her husband to my office. The lady is about 42 years old. And her husband, older by maybe 3 or 4, and they have 3 children, 3 or 4 years. And her husband, alcoholic, sex addict, and a deacon in the church. She told me when she was 18 years old, her dad, cable was new in that island, so her dad introduced the cable TV programs, and when she, for the first time, she started to search by the remote, her eyes was mesmerized to a very unusual scene, which is unholy. She flipped on the channel. She never looked again. The lady told me, from 18 to 42, I cannot forget what I have seen. Just one time. Do you believe in that or not? University of California, Irvine, they wanted to prove what that lady has told me, scientifically by research. They got 10 boys, young men in the school, in the college. Each one put him in a small room with a TV camera and a computer in front of him. And they showed a scene which is unholy for a woman and her legs in a red boot, shoes. The boot reaching to the calf. And she's not wearing anything, maybe. The camera took picture for what's going on in these 10 rooms. And all the young men finished the act with themselves. Nobody was there in the room. But it's recorded. 3 times, in 3 different days. All of them did it. Starting 4th and 5th time, they put them only the boot, the red boot, without the lady. 100%. the 10 of them, they did again with themselves. You know the Pavlov experiment? Do you remember that? And they proved that if you have seen any of these unholy scenes, you will never forget it ever. And you could reuse it by thinking of it. And you could reuse it, and you do it with yourself. It looks like a small seed, small mustard seed, smallest of all the seeds. The more you use it, it will grow like a tree in your mind. This is what the research is saying. So, what do you remember in Matthew chapter 5, verse 27, what is said about something like this? It was said in the past, don't commit adultery. Christ is telling us now, if you are intending to look to a woman and your intention is to lust over her, then you have already committed adultery in your heart with her. Do you think how many times we are committing adultery by what we are looking at in the computer? To the extent now it became an addiction of committing adultery in the heart. And everybody say, I'm not doing anything wrong to anybody. I'm not hurting anybody. No, you are hurting the temple of God, which you don't own. Jesus paid a price for that, so glorify God in your bodies and your spirit, which are God's. 1 Corinthians 6:20. To the extent now we are talking about that kind of addiction as the most serious kind of addiction. Addiction of unholiness, sex addiction. It's so prevalent, so common between men, young men, boys, kids. It's so common these days. As if mom and dad are sleeping. They are not there at home. Or even if they put a filter to stop the violence, the filthy talk, and the unholiness, boys at the school give CDs to one another with what thing and they put it and see it. Check on that too. Is it something good? I mean, it's something interesting. Yes, there's something called adrenaline rush. When you are watching a football game and your team towards the end of the match and a tie and they are trying to beat the other and goal is coming, how do you feel? Sometimes you scream. Some could get heart attack if the team would be defeated at the end by a goal, maybe from one of the defenders of the same team. This is adrenaline rush. Adrenaline rush could be an anxiety, an anger, and craving on the substance. Craving on the substance. Just thinking of it, this adrenaline rush in the body. Also, with surge of endorphins. Endorphins which give you pleasure. You feel that It's pleasant to do that. At the same time, you're so tense with the adrenaline, and you want to do it more. As anything addictive, after some time, is not causing the same adrenaline rush as before. Then you want to search for something more exposing, more revealing, more serious. And there are, if you are looking for. Which means I want to go deeper and deeper, not in the Spirit of God, deeper and deeper in the unholiness. It's a moving sand. If you go through it, you could disappear completely. It has no end, there's no bottom. And they have found that there are certain situations, if someone is seeing something like this, he has to be careful for certain situations. If he is hungry, if he is angry, if he is lonely, if he is feeling tired, fatigued, if he is feeling bored, he's more liable to go and numb himself by enjoying the unholiness on the computer. So be careful of that. I said that many times. I'm sure some of you heard that from me. You know Ted Bundy, right? The story of Ted Bundy. Yes? No? Never heard about Ted Bundy? Some of you know it here? Ted Bundy was an altar boy, a Catholic altar boy. A Catholic altar boy. So decent, so genuinely, you look at him, you find someone who's angelic, in character, soft-spoken. He attends Sunday school, Bible studies, and a deacon, altar boy, a deacon. One day, when they're collecting trash, the garbage, I don't know, you have the same here, sister? There are 2 days, 1 day in a week we go and collect these garbage cans. Yes? Yes. So that boy went to the school in the morning. He looked every house with the garbage cans in front. He found on top of some of the garbage cans some videotapes. He looked at it, he found the videotapes with some very unclean, unholy pictures on the outside. He took it and put it in his backpack. Anyway, the owner of the house are throwing the garbage. After he returned, he started to see it in the absence of his parents. And it was covered. It became a habit. The day of the trash, the garbage, he goes looking around to find any of these. And unusually, there are so many throwing these. With some Playboy magazines and whatever, they start to collect these for free. Ted Bundy moved from sex addiction level 1 to level 2 to level 3 to level 4. He became a serial rapist, a serial killer, and he was executed, not in California where he was living, after he raped and killed 40-something women, executed in Florida. And he asked the night of his execution, all the journalists want to know his story. His still appears so decent. This is not the look of a rapist. And by the way, rapists or serial killers, they don't have holes. Their teeth are not coming out like Satan, no. Some of them are so decent looking. He insisted that I need only one. I need only to meet with one in particular. Because I'm sure all those newspaper men are not, those reporters are not going to write it the way I like it. I want the whole truth of what happened to me in my life to be in front of all the younger generations. He asked to meet with James Dobson. At that time, James Dobson was about in his late 60s. And he is the man in charge of Focus on the Family, a Christian program out on TV, on radio all over the world. He went and with cameras, he confessed all his story in detail, and he said, pornography took me in these 4 levels, which I'm going to discuss with you, till I am now here, waiting to be executed. And it happened. How did he move from a Sunday school, altar boy, Bible study, chanting songs, Christian songs? Because there's an effect, a bad effect happening which changes my personality completely. It distorts my personality. Maybe the majority of you, the majority who are seeing these, maybe are level 1, enjoying looking and enjoying with yourself to do whatever you want to do. Level 2 is level 1 plus, going to certain places where you could see by your eyes something which get more adrenaline rush to you. There's so many places. I'm not going to list it for you. Level 3, which is much more worse, is 1 and 2 plus. You have a real person with name. You have an emotional love story with that person plus sexuality. If you do it with paid harlots, is much less damaging than you have it as an extramarital affair. Level 4, you do whatever which makes you legally responsible and liable and go to jail and prison. So many things, from which I mentioned the pedophilia, the rape, and whatever, exposing yourself, and there's so many things. And how did it happen to someone who's a deacon? He went gradually. Why? As you take heroin or cocaine, gradually you take more from the substance to have the same effect. And it's proved to be very addictive, and the problem of it, there is no chemical detoxification for it. And how do they get all what's stored in the subconscious? How do they get it out? How do they clean the subconscious? It is nearly impossible. No surgery could help in that. No detox, chemical detox. So what to do? Tomorrow you will know the program tomorrow. But I mean, it is serious. Do you have roofers here in UK? Yes? You know what is it? You understand what I'm talking about?
No.
So innocent. And blessed are you all. Okay. No, I'm not going to tell you something bad. You do it. But I have to tell you to be careful. Men and women, young men and young women, to be careful for yourself. The substance is called Rohypnol or Roofies. A tablet, small tablet. Intentionally put it in a can of Coke. Somebody opened a Coke and is drinking, and when it's turning, you put a small tablet in there. 10 minutes exactly, he will be fast asleep. It's called gamma hydroxybutyric acid, the chemical term. So it is used in day trade, or if you want to make fun of anybody. You know our American football? Huge, all of them are huge, giant people. They took one who was about 6'5", 6'5", huge, built over nearly 300 pounds, and did that to him. He's trusting his friend as fun. They did that to him. And then, after he woke up, he finds that his friends, they pulled down his pants and underwear. His age now is 45, still being treated from the damaging effect of what happened to him. At that time, he was still in college. He can't maintain a job. If you are in any party, don't ever leave your drink, your can of soda, whatever, opened. Go to the bathroom, take it with you. You will not be exposed to that as day trade, maybe, because you will not go in a date. But you take care of yourself, because somebody is trying to make fun of you. And it's dangerous. Now, the FDA in the United States, they tried, it was colorless, the tablet. They tried to change it into a blue color with a bit salty taste. But if you put it in any can of Pepsi Cola, Coca-Cola, of course the color will not change. In a clear drink, it will change. There's something called, you call that roof for those who are doing that. Just to take care of yourself. Those who are claiming that they were born from the womb of their mothers homosexuals. And they are trying to prove by so much literature and fake, fabricated research that there's certain parts in the brain or genetically they are doomed to be homosexuals. And what's wrong in it? In medical schools, they are teaching you, don't even raise an eyebrow if someone will tell you, this is my sexual preference and behavior. Correct? In medical doctor, if somebody will come and somebody will write my sexual preference and behavior such and such, you don't have the right to show that it's unusual. He could sue you if you do that. Did you hear about Joe Dallas? Joe Dallas is the one who started Exodus International. Exodus International is all over publishing books and trying to help the homosexual community to return back to Christ and normal life. But I'm warning you, if you see any of those, don't look at them by a disgusting look, because you might be and I might be much more sinner than them in other aspects. What's the difference between someone who's sex addict and someone who's homosexual? Between someone who's sinning any other way? All of us are sinners. You think God loves homosexuals or not? Answer yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
God loves the sinner, but He hates the sin itself, the behavior. You, mom and dad, you don't like the behavior, but we love our children. And Christ wants salvation for everybody, everyone to be saved. Don't look down to them. And don't go and argue with them without reading about it. There are some books published to help you if you want to help. If not, just be away. Pray for them. And I gave you the divide. I'm not discussing now the reason why they turn like this, but from the mouth of Jordanes himself, who is teaching and training counselors, and he himself was gay before. He's saying homosexuality is not the etiology, the reason is not sexual. It is an unmet need of the boy to be with his father, who is an absent father, has no time for him. This is the main reason. If you have no time for your kids, be careful. The same, the girl who has unmet need to be with her mom, and her mom is so busy. If she will discuss with something, tell her, not now, I'm tired, not now. The dad is the same with the boys. This is the main reason. This is what Jordanes mentioned and said. And he's an authority now in the treatment of homosexuality. Exodus International, as I've said. Unmet needs of being with our children. If the man is absent and he's a dad, so busy, or is not doing his job as the man of the family, and the woman is not doing her job as the mom and the wife of the family. Maybe mom is wearing the pants, and dad is trying to buy time. He wants to get out of fights. An opinionated woman. And the man appeared to children as he's not masculine enough. All this happened before being touched. So we divide those groups of homosexual tendencies and homosexual into a first group, homosexual orientation or attraction, involuntary feelings, like a fantasy, which attract them and arouse them if they look to the same gender. And so many go through that phase. And the second group, the homosexual behavior, still could be divided into three different groups. A, those who regard this attraction as a temptation from Satan, and they resist it spiritually and struggle spiritually, and they pray, and it stops at that level. B, those who act on the attraction and the arousal by being touched or touched. And C, the bisexual, hetero and homo. A third level is the homosexual identity. Some of them are regarded as mainstream homosexuals, asking to marry and or whatever, and be much more serious, the militant homosexuals, who wants to recruit everybody to enjoy what they are enjoying. And they tell you, why you don't try it? Try it. If you don't like it, leave it. And if you like it, continue it. They try to tempt you by any means. Of course, all of them, you will find their chromosomes in their cells, either XX or XY. You can't change it. You cannot change it. And don't try, if you are going to argue some one of them, don't use the biblical verses you know. You will lose them. Respect them. As any sinner, respect them. Be a model of good Christian in front of them. And there are certain books which would help you if you want to preach to the homosexual neighbor or course books by that name. You will find it in the pamphlet I'll give it to you. Remaining, the only issue remaining, how those who are addicted to pornography, how their personality did change. 8 aspects of the personality with characters. When we are studying development of each age, our children, we study the physical development, the spiritual development, the intellectual development, psychological development, emotional development, social development, moral development, and sexual development. 8 aspects. And all those aspects will be distorted. At least I have to tell those who are involved in such an addiction, they are more predisposed to prostate cancer because of the repeated and repeated congestion of the prostate gland. Talking 2 minutes, of course, understand what's meant by prostate. This is the least. And you know, the personality of the sex addict, from outside nothing would be distorted as a human being, normal human being. But they're always living in hiding. What do you think the spiritual development will be? I have seen archdeacons, I have seen deacons. I have seen men in charge of the youth in churches. I have seen men and women, sex addicts. So all servants could be affected. We are human beings. Spiritually, of course, you feel always the guilt towards God. You are living a double life, serving in Sunday school and church, and going back home to see whatever you are seeing and doing whatever you are doing. So many pastors committed suicide because they can't tolerate the division inside them, the schism inside them. Standing on the pulpit, explaining, meditating about God's word, and going home to do whatever. Many of them committed suicide in the United States. I have seen pastors involved. And even there's certain messages now for pastor to pastor discussing some of these issues, which are issued by Focus on the Family too. And we have certain centers to treat pastors in the United States who are sex addicts. Intellectually, if someone is so involved, thinking so much, his mind becomes sexualized. For him, everything in his life is sexualized. They can't focus. Their grades will change. As I told you, they are living in hiding. But intellectually, their attention span will become less because they're always focusing on whatever exciting in front of them. And if something with less excitement, they can focus on it. Any lecture will be boring. Anything will be so boring to them. So, it gets you to adrenaline rush. Anything without adrenaline rush is boring. Psychologically, we found that many of them with obsessive compulsive disorders, which means he could move from that addiction to another compulsion. That's why in their treatment we have to be very careful. They are obsessed by what they are seeing, and the compulsive action, of course, is what they are doing with themselves. Emotionally, they reach what we call emotional deadness, total insensitivity. I'm saying that in detail just to warn the girls. If you will marry someone like those, this is what you're going to see. He is insensitive to the feeling of people around him. He's totally into himself. Anyone who's looking into screens of computer, doing whatever, always, he will be socially introvert. But that in particular will show insensitivity, because whatever you're going to do will not be equal to the adrenaline rush he has. His wife crying, whatever is hurt in front of him, he is insensitive. One of the first books published about that was from, it's talking to wives of sex addicts. So because wives were unusually not understanding what's going on, and they were blaming themselves, and sometimes the addict blamed his wife for what he is doing. And we always, when we deep treat them, we tell them the first thing, it's not your fault. So emotionally insensitive and not involved in the feeling of others. Socially, he's in hiding, a loner. People sometimes stay more than 12 hours. One case reported in Sydney, someone who's Coptic, 24 hours sitting in front of the computer and his wife bringing him food and seeing him acting with himself in front of her. He's so addicted to what he's seeing. I have seen a pastor, after returning from his church, he goes and gets about 8 DVDs, all of them poor material. At the time when they prefer certain movies, and they go and they stay all the night seeing whatever, and his wife in bed waiting for him to go, and he will never go. And if we reach bed, we'll be so exhausted, has no interest. And the wife came to me crying. What could I do? I know it's not her fault, but what could be done? Morally, of course, is living in immoral principles completely. Sexuality, he feels that he is a sexual giant. And his wife is a dwarf. He knows so much. People from everywhere call me. From Sweden, from Denmark, from England, from Italy, from France, from Egypt. All of them the same. Their wives are suffering. And the lousiest part of the marital life is the sexual part. So regarding sexual development, his sexuality is only with himself and with others. The main look of the sex addict, they prefer, of course, very skinny girls. What they are seeing, unfortunately, in the computer is totally unreal bodies. Unreal. I call them toothpicks. Toothpicks with projections. And those projections are mostly implants. They are paid for them $1 million just to have their picture in a movie. So all what's in his mind, these are the measurements, or the normal body must look like that. And nobody could compete. A normal girl cannot compete with any of those porn figures. So the sex addict is disgusted from the body of his wife. He can't have love with her, he can't. Why? He's disgusted. And they come and tell me, 8 months, I can't come close. Why? Would you imagine that around her tummy there are stone folds? Or in her thigh there are stone folds? Of course, you listen and you cry inside you. But he's sick. Because he's comparing Those are the person I told you how much is the diameter of the ankle or the wrist or the calf. Those are the ones. Measurements. They don't at all look to the mind and the heart or spirituality of the woman. The way she looks is what is their goal. And if they know, of course she will change her body during pregnancy. And he can't come close after that. He goes outside, extramarital affair. Is there a treatment for those? Yes. Is there a success in the treatment and therapy? Yes. At least I have to leave you with something good. Good news that there is a treatment and a therapy. And so many were successful by the grace of God to get rid of that. And some of them became good priests now. Some of them are good husbands and good wives, waiting for tomorrow to see if you know the program. Any questions? There are those with sufficient today, or do you need to know more? Your questions? Or to pray now?
Say again, please. Can you say Tertila?
By the way, I didn't ask you, I'm sorry. The title, what is the title of that presentation? Are you the hunter or the hunted? What do you think you are? Hunting for pleasure, or you are being hunted by Satan? Are you the hunter now, searching through the websites, looking for something to hunt, or you are being hunted and you don't know, you are not aware of? I think you are aware now, whether you are the hunter or the hunted. Okay, since there's no questions, I'm going to come and play for us.
Any questions, please? They are writing some question. We will say a hymn until they write the question. Yeah. While you are writing your questions,
is there anybody writing question?
Yes.
Just ask him. Maybe they're writing something else, not a question.
There is one question. How many, can you listen please? Can you listen? How many times a person can recover from near addiction? And how to overcome it.
How many times you could recover from mere addiction. He means somebody who is relapsing, because he did not go through the appropriate program. And there's nothing called mere addiction. I'm saying I'm regarding first phase, first level addiction level 1. And this is the least. That you are looking or using what is in your mind and enjoying with yourself. Of course, enjoying with yourself is a polite term for masturbation. All you understand that. I don't think that person who said that question, whether about himself or about somebody else, they did not go through a rigorous program supervised by a sponsor, by the father of confession. As any kind of addiction, although it's very difficult, the most difficult, but the treatment of addiction or unholiness is holiness. And as anyone with withdrawal symptoms, he will go through the withdrawal symptoms and then continue as we treat any addict. But this in particular is mostly holy issues which he has to get into it. And tomorrow I'm going to say that each one who's addicted to whatever, even cigarette smoking, he has to regard himself or herself vulnerable all her life or his life. Which means he is very vulnerable to relapse. He has to take care of himself. And explain that tomorrow. If you realize that, no, I'm now so cleansed, I will not take care of myself anymore, you will relapse.
I wanted to say a very short story about St. John the Short. You know St. John the Short? Yeah? One day he had the man who buys the baskets from him, yeah, was collecting his handwork. So the man knocked at his door, and St. John the Short opened the door and said, "Oh, you want the baskets? Okay, 1 minute please." He went inside to get the baskets and stayed inside for 2 hours. And then he had something else to go out of his cell, so he opened the door again and found the man still there. So he said, "Oh my God, you're still there. You're still there. I'm sorry, I forgot. I said, don't worry, Father, just go and get the baskets." I said, okay. And he went inside and disappeared for another 2 hours. Then he opened the door again and found the same man there. So I said, "Oh my God, for the second time I forgot you." So to remember that the man is outside, he kept saying, "What the basket for the man, the basket for the man, the basket for the man, the basket for the man." Till he arrived to the baskets, collected them, and went back the baskets for the man, the baskets for the man, the baskets for the man. If I ask you, is he addict? Is he an addict? He's an addict in God's love. So replace it. Replace it. Replace it. Anyway, another question. These examples seem quite extreme cases. What are the more subtle ways we can fall in everyday situations?
Okay. I'm sorry I did not hear that. I want to read a question. I thought it would give you any more examples. Who said that the examples I gave is extreme cases? I told you, all the boys who are seeing just porn, figures or scenes, they do it with themselves. I mean, how many boys are doing that? The majority who are involved in pornography. And this is the least, the commonest. And then they progress. And they progress, by the way, I said in hiding because they don't announce that. Even their own close family member, you don't know it. And if in counseling, I surprise one of them by saying, I expect that you are such and such, I have to be very careful because they could turn violent. Why? Because I'm pushing them out of their hiding place. So, what we were discussing are not extreme cases. These are usual cases. If you don't want to be careful, it's up to you. But always, the beginning of the road is the first step. Try to smoke for 2 or 3 days and say, okay, I will stop it. And then come to me after a month and tell me what happened. And if you stop, you could relax even in smoking. So we have to take care always of the first step. We have to be careful about our holiness. Not because the eyes of God are seeing us as a judge, no. Because I am hurting his heart. I'm sure the Lord knows exactly of what you are doing in hiding. And whatever you are doing in hiding, you are aching his heart. As if you are hammering more on the nails in his hands and his feet. That's why we'll see tomorrow one of the major part of the treatment is the crucifix. How to use the crucifix in the therapy. Any sin I'm doing, whether in that area or in other area, if I love my dad so much, And I know that he will not hurt if he will know that I'm doing something wrong. And feel guilty. My dad doesn't know what I'm doing. But if he will know, I feel so bad. And I don't feel guilty because in front of God who is with me, around me, and in me anywhere I go, and my guardian angel with a fact walking with me, behind me, they see exactly what I'm doing. And if my family, my parents, my wife doesn't see, I'm offending God and His angels and the heavenly hosts by what I'm doing. At least I have to feel that. And ask for help. Go and ask for help, because there is help. At least I mentioned the sex addict and the homosexual will help. But the sexting and the chatting, you have to take care of yourself in this. I mentioned was sufficient. So there's nothing as easy as you slip in the beginning of the road.
Of course, Dr. Nadir يعني pushed you from your hiding place. طبعا, where would he push you from your hiding place to? Any intelligent answer? Where would you go from your hiding place?
Go to that.
To go to Christ, yeah. I'm waiting for you here for confessions, just to go out of your hiding place كده in the bosom of Christ, and this is an issue on the subject of tomorrow, so we wouldn't talk about it, but just to taste it today.
Do you have communion tomorrow?
Yeah.
Do we have communion tomorrow?
Yes.
Is the liturgy ending communion tomorrow?
Yes, of course. I want every one of you, everyone, to have communion tomorrow. If you have a father in confession, that's well and good. If you don't have father in confession, or you haven't been confessing for a long time, I'm staying to the liturgy. I'm not moving. وبعدين I do want كده 2 minutes confession يعني. مش عايزين نطول. I don't want any يعني stories. I want كده repentance. بس how much and attitude. That's it. Quickly كده عشان to start a new beginning, a new life, and you come out of this conference, renewed, making a new beginning with Christ. Thank you very much. And now we will have 2 things. Who is having black ribbons? Black ribbons? Black up, hands up. So mainly university. Is that correct? Correct? So we will have a workshop for the university. Yeah? You want workshop now? Can we make a workshop? Yes. Okay. So we'll make a workshop for the university in the next room. just next room. Yeah? Who is having the blue? 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 Okay? So blue ribbons will go to the other room or stay here. Blue ribbons stay here. Yeah? So black in the next room, blue is here. What other colors? Green, red. Who is red? Red, red, red. Can we make the blue and red stay here? Yeah? So blue and red here, black next room, and couples, yeah? Couples, can we meet in the opposite room? In the opposite room. Yeah? With Dr. Nabil. And after the workshop, we will start straight away Ashaya and Tasbaha. Then we will have a film for whoever wants to see it. It is optional. Yeah? Can we now please say ahead? Yalla? Yalla, Lydia?